What bike should you get as your first bike? Should you get a 1000cc? Should you get a 600? Or should you get something entirely different? If you spend any amount of time on the internet, a lot of people are going to tell you to just start on a 1000cc. And if you do that, I urge you, please make me the primary beneficiary on your life insurance policy. It's cold to say, but that's the reality of it. A lot of people that tell you to start on these bikes don't know your experience or your skill set or even the development point of your prefrontal cortex, which is a whole nother story. The easiest way I can say it is big bike, little mistake, big problem. If you accidentally hit the throttle too hard, especially at lean on a big bike, you're gonna end up on the ground or in the air before you understand what happened. So when you start on a small bike, think like a Ninja 300, 400, Yamaha R3, CBR 300, KTM RC 390, anything really that's just not a super sport, you have the ability to make these huge mistakes. It's a little problem because you don't have a huge amount of power. So when you get a little carried away and give it throttle at the wrong time, you're not just going to end up immediately high siding because you broke that back tire loose. A lot of people love to just say, well, it's all throttle control. And it really is. But if you're new to riding, you don't know what throttle control is. You don't know the difference between where my hand's at now and where I just moved it to. That could be 2,000 RPM. That's huge, especially if I'm in a lower gear or if I'm at lean. That difference can be the difference between making it through a corner and breaking the back tire loose on a bigger bike and suddenly high siding. If you don't know what a high side is, that's where you end up going flying through the air because you get basically bucked off the bike. A lot of people love to say just go out and get that 1000cc now, that way you don't have to worry about upgrading later because you've already got the fastest bike. A lot of people also love to say to just go out and get the bike that you want, that way you don't have to upgrade in the future. Well, first off, you're probably going to drop it, whether it be just for getting the kickstand or rolling the bike forward and realizing that the kickstand folded in on you and you drop it, or even just learning that certain kinds of asphalt, especially on hot days, your kickstand can sink into the asphalt and you drop the bike. So why would you want to start on a $20,000 bike and then make a mistake that costs you thousands of dollars in depreciation because you made a stupid mistake? I've been riding for almost 15 years and I spent almost 10 years straight on a 600cc. And when I jumped to a 1000cc, it was mind-blowing to me just how much faster a bike could be. So I can't imagine starting off my riding career on just the fastest bike out there. What are you going to do when you get used to that speed? You're going to have nothing else to go to. One advantage to spending so much time on a 600 is I learned how to really throw a bike around. And if we want to use chicken strips as the measurement for that, which granted they don't mean anything, but if we want to use chicken strips as the measurement for that, I mean, you can see that tire's toast. So when I transition to a 1000cc bike, I'm able to ride that thing like I'm on a 600. I can just sit there and throw the bike into a corner and not worry about it because I know how to ride that well. If you start on a 1000cc bike, you're probably going to end up being afraid of that bike, whether it be because it just has so much power or because you made a mistake and you almost wrecked. But you're probably going to be in a position where you're just so afraid to lean into a corner on that bike that you never really learn how to ride it. So what'll happen is you'll end up launching yourself towards a corner, getting a handful of brake, parking it in the corner, just putting through it, and then just mashing that throttle to take off and get away from that corner. Being able to just twist that throttle in a straight line doesn't mean that you've mastered a bike, and it doesn't mean you have a lot of skill. Literally anybody can do that. My first day of riding, I had like 40 minutes of seat time, and I learned how to twist a throttle in a straight line. And within the first week or two, I'd made mistakes that could have cost me my life. But thankfully, I didn't have 200 horsepower between my legs. If I did, I probably wouldn't be here to make this video. Now for the bike itself, I recommend starting with something small and something that's used. It doesn't matter if it's already got scratches or a dented tank because you're probably going to drop it like I already said. So when you start on a used bike, you don't have to worry about taking that depreciation hit. Like if I drop this bike, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars in depreciation. Or I'm going to have to spend thousands of dollars to fix the damage. Whereas if you start on a used bike, something that's already got scratches in it, you're just adding to existing scratches. You're not doing really any more damage than it's already been done. So if you start on a used bike, something between $2,000 and $4,000 ideally, you'll be able to ride that thing for a year or two, get comfortable, make all your novice mistakes and drop it or scratch it or whatever, and then turn around and sell it for what you bought it for because you didn't do anything to the bike that wasn't already done to it. It's true, you will get a lot of people saying to start at a 600 or even 1,000 because that's what they started on, and they're still here, so it must be fine, right? Well, yes, they are still here. There's a lot of people that aren't. And at the end of the day, all I want you to do is be safe. I don't want to recommend a bike to you that gets you hurt or worse. In absolutely no order, here's the bikes that I recommend to you. A Kawasaki Ninja 300, Ninja 400, Yamaha R3, Honda CBR 300, maybe as much as a Honda CBR 500, a KTM RC 390. If you're absolutely adamant about going to a bigger bike, the biggest I would recommend to you is a Kawasaki Ninja 650R, a Yamaha R7, or a Suzuki SV650. Whatever your choice is, I strongly encourage you to start used. It's the best financial choice. If you have a disposable income, then get whatever bike you want. But unfortunately, most of us have to be smart with our money and try to make our dollar go as far as it can. Now, I do need to make it clear, bikes like this Yamaha R6 I'm on actually make significantly more power than your higher displacement 650, 700cc bikes, like a Ninja 650 or a Yamaha R7. Those bikes are typically sport touring bikes with a parallel twin, as opposed to this bike, where this is an inline 4 super sport that's basically a race bike with headlights. There's a significant difference in the characteristics of an inline 4 like this, as opposed to a more beginner-friendly bike. If you're a new rider, leave me a comment and let me know, what bike do you want to start on? And if you're an existing rider, let everybody in the comments know, what bike did you start on?